The views expressed in the following podcast are sealed.
Sealed? How can they be sealed?
That's also sealed. They do not reflect the views of our employers, spouses, friends.
This is a podcast. By definition, we're not sealing this discussion. We're publishing it.
In a sealed manner.
You'd ask how that's possible, but that's likely not going to get me anywhere. So I'll just ask why?
I can't tell you.
Why not?
Client solicitor privilege.
There is no client solicitor privilege. You're not a lawyer.
Don't worry. While the investigation is ongoing, I promise to get to the bottom of this.
The bottom of what?
Can't tell you.
Client solicitor privilege?
Just start the intro already.
Your mileage may vary. Welcome to Two and Change, a Canadian podcast where people from all different backgrounds get together to discuss today's important topics over a drink. On today's show...
That's not your usual intro speech there.
Oh, I changed it. On today's show, we discuss the concept of executive power. Donald Trump might have declared an emergency, but does that mean he should just get to build his wall?
But first, the departure of his former Attorney General Jody Wilson-Raybould and PMO's senior advisor Gerald Butts, allegations that the Prime Minister's office used undue pressure to resolve a corruption and fraud case against SNC-Lavalin seem to be getting some traction. Does this spell trouble for Justin Trudeau and the Liberals coming into an election year?
Okay, are we just not going to talk about the new intro? We voted on it and we said we were keeping the old one and...
Nope. I just declared a podcast emergency, so here it is.
Wait, you can do that? That's not in our bylaws.
It doesn't have to be.
I'm really not liking this.
You know what, Josh? The best part is I don't have to care. I can just replace you with somebody who will do what I want. Isn't that right, Matt?
Yep, yes sir. Best toast ever. Your hands are so big.
I do not like where this is going.
Me neither.
Well, now if you'll excuse me, I have a tea time at Mar-a-Lago Country Club I need to get to.
Make Two and Change great again.
Hi everybody, this is Josh and I am drinking a scotch that I brought that I don't remember what it is now.
He's alive!
He's alive! The pizza
my
did not
God.
kill him.
Welcome back.
I know. A
10-year-old
Glenn
Capacan.
Canham?
Glenn Cabagan?
Cabagan?
Cabagan? Capagan? I don't know.
He said it was expensive.
Who got bagged in?
Yeah, exactly.
I will be
got
researching
Bin
this
Laden?
later.
Yeah.
I'm sure it fell off a truck somewhere.
It's Glenn.
But it's actually quite good.
It's Glenn Greek Godges.
Canham. Glenn Canham.
And for a scotch, it is up there.
It's mediocrely.
It is on the mediocre scale, it's a 9.
Love it. Very good. This is Mike, and because Josh just brought the bottle tonight, I quickly chugged the vodka I was drinking so I could enjoy this scotch. And boy, let me tell you, for a 10-year-old scotch, this thing punches well above its weight. I am on the mediocre scale. This is like a 10.
And this is Tim. I'm drinking the same thing, Glenn.
Camadin?
Cameron? This is why we need to start bringing the bottles upstairs.
We
guys.
need to do that. Yep.
And of course, we also have a recurring guest on the show.
Who
Matt
hates
hasn't
scotch.
been on the show for a while, so Matt, say hello.
Hello, Matt.
I
What are you
learned
drinking there?
Son Scotch. I'm going with the spiced rum.
Sailor Jerry, right? Yeah.
Oh, classic.
And why are you going sans scotch? Just remind all of our listeners.
Classic.
Classic?
It is
No.
classic.
Before
Sailor
Before we
Jerry's
started
good.
recording, you said you hate scotch, which by default, I hate you. There's nothing I can do about that. I'm sorry.
By
man.
default of you hating me,
Exact-
I thus hate you.
Oh, there you go. Very good.
Well,
Now that
we're
we're
all-
all-
the love hate is
World
mutual.
keeps
Exactly.
on spinning.
yeah,
As long as it's all out there.
you're officially a frenemy right now. Let's do that. All right.
I love that.
Yeah. So anyway, this is Two and Change. We're 3 Canadian drinking buddies plus the occasional Scotch hating
Matt.
guest. Who is not a friend.
He shall be not named.
Exactly. Who shall remain unnamed.
Hashtag rum.
Exactly.
He's like Voldemort. We can't say his name.
Exactly. He who shall not be named. We get together, we discuss issues such as, political corruption, and usually Donald Trump ends up in that mix, and we end up talking about things from our very different political opinions, and we usually end up coming to a non-consensus where everybody's wrong, and but we're drunk, so it's okay.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Unless Tim's talking.
The theory is that because we're all very toasted, that we're still friends by the end of the conversation.
All right, and we're talking about some sort of liberal scandal, which is, I don't even know. I haven't paid attention.
Have you read a news article this week?
Yes, I've read lots of news articles, just not about the liberal scandal in the federal office.
Anything
it's
relevant?
What are you reading about?
yeah, all sorts of things. But
News article. Woman turns 117 years old in Asia, takes the Guinness World Record for being the
Mad
oldest
Magazine doesn't count.
that's our local paper.
Yeah. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie divorce again. I don't know.
I'm reading,
Third go.
reading a lot of provincial stuff.
Okay.
But yes,
Provincial
essentially
stuff, yeah.
liberals have some sort of scandal with SNC-Lavalin, which is
I don't
no way
even think
surprises.
it's. I don't even think it's.
Big hype. Huge hype.
I feel
Yeah,
like it
it's-
is mostly a nothing
That's why
burger.
I haven't paid attention
It's
to it.
it's
a lot of ruffling of the feathers.
It's all fart, no smell at this point.
At that point, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. Like,
Yeah.
there's not a lot to it. I mean, so
I'm not a big fan of liberals, but at this point, I'm thinking, man, what?
Yeah, of the gaffes that they've done, this is relatively minor. Like, Prime Minister Trudeau has apparently, the story is that he has used pressure from the Prime Minister's office to influence the person investigating SNC-Lavalin to come to what's
And
called
for our
swift
listeners who aren't in Canada, SNC-Lavalin
is a company that does things.
It's a worldwide company.
It's
so-
a major
global.
international engineering company based out of Quebec,
Yes.
and the whole thing is that liberals want to massage Quebec a little bit because Quebec is kind of a political kingmaker in this country.
It kind of is,
Or
yeah.
separatist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
separatism is dead in Quebec. I don't think it's coming back. I
Apparently
think
in Alberta it is.
I think yeah, right? Yeah. I'm
would
waiting
be
But
for
Montana wants to join us, so
yeah, for $1 trillion.
Yeah, they-
for
they-
$1 trillion, which
like
we don't
that,
have.
like true libertarians, they want to sell themselves from
right?
We're tired of paying for the East. Welcome to a country.
Exactly, right? That was
Oh,
incredible.
God.
Yeah. I mean, I remember following that story. They want $1 trillion from Montana. I'm sorry, Montana. You ain't worth that.
Yeah.
Like,
we have to give them $1 trillion.
yeah, that's what they want.
Fuck that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought
They want
were
us to
gonna
give them $1
They're
trillion.
going win-win.
Now, the one thing I could not get from the article was that $1 trillion US or Canadian? Because that's a very different number.
Like I just read an article about how people in Montana are trying to adopt a different science.
Yeah.
If this was scientists say, ignore it and do this. I'm like, are you serious?
I mean, and there's
if
also
they're not
like,
specific, I say pesos.
well,
I was going to go Jamaican
yen,
dollars.
yen,
Yen.
I'm okay with yen. Yeah,
Yen.
exactly. Zimbabwe dollars. We'll
100
do
to
that.
1 works for me.
That's all right with me. No, but I mean, like $1 trillion from Montana. I don't know. And apparently, a lot of people on the ground in Montana, newspapers are interviewing people on the street. They're okay with this idea. They're like, yeah, this sounds good.
They voted on it in their house, and 5 of them supported it.
It was defeated 15-5, which I mean, on the one hand, is like, okay, it was
12
defeated.
to 5, I think.
It was 12 to, but like 5 people were like, yeah, this is great. I mean, did not one person there pick up the phone and call us up in Canada and be like, hey, do you want to buy us for $1 trillion?
In fairness, there's almost any question you could pose to the public, and you're going to have 5 people who go, yup.
Yeah, I suppose
That
so.
sounds like a good
really,
idea.
Yeah, that sounds right.
If you throw in the rest of the Pacific Coast, we'll talk.
Sure, yeah.
Although to be fair with California, we'd be joining California.
You know what?
not the other way
yes,
around.
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, they could kind of keep Idaho. That's a weird fucking state.
They
What,
can
like
have it.
Montana isn't? Yeah.
Montana's
Hell in a handbasket.
Montana's weird, but Idaho has all the weird, crazy rural Mormons.
I thought that was Utah.
Ruby Ridge.
Both. Oh, Utah and Idaho.
yeah,
both have
honestly,
that.
Idaho has the crazier
All
ones.
there you
right.
go.
So
Is it the same?
SNC-Lavalin.
SNC-Lavalin, major engineering firm, global. They have stuff all over the world. They have the best deals, big deals.
So
best
the root
deals.
of this is that apparently SNC-Lavalin was they got in a little hot water because they were allegedly.
Yeah.
Well, I think they actually were convicted on this. They were
I'd have to
passing
agree
a
with that.
couple of the shekels in Libya to get a contract because that's how shit gets done over there. But they got busted doing it. And, they have to follow Canadian laws.
Moral of the
anti-bribery
story
or
is if you're
corruption.
going to bribe someone, don't get caught. Come on.
No. The moral of the story is you're going to bribe, don't be cheap.
There it is. Yeah.
Don't be cheap to the point where people will tell
That is the most mad
Donald
answer
Trump.
I have ever heard.
Donald Trump's learned that the hard way.
Yes. There it
Don't
is.
be frugal
Yeah.
on buying people off.
There.
Exactly.
Love it.
Don't give them $35,000.
So anyway-
If you're going to dig shallow, dig deep.
So the Globe and Mail had this article that said
Yeah.
the Attorney General of Canada had pressure from the Prime Minister's office,
Yes.
saying that you shouldn't convict these people, and she was like, "No, I'm not going to do that," and that apparently this is controversial.
Well, it is. I mean,
controversial that
I
we've
mean,
had a
this
few
is the
people step
same
down.
Prime Minister's office, remind you, that about 4 weeks ago was going, we're just going to let the justice system do its thing, in regard to the Huawei executive that we arrested.
And they have.
And they have.
And they have.
And now that same government that's saying, let the justice system do its thing, is going to the Attorney General and being like, nah, you
Allegedly
should.
with an anonymous source. And this is where I have a
an
problem.
important fact that's overlooked is, when he was denying these things, he was getting his hair done.
Are you serious? I missed that. How did I miss that?
He's always getting his
It's
hair
getting
done.
feathered. It's beautiful.
Very important.
He's the
Great
Disney
hair, though.
prince.
Yeah.
very important.
Okay,
He
look.
also planks on the House of Commons countertop
All right.
with his arms.
So look, this is the way I look
With
at
his
it. I feel that this is
arms, his muscular arms that just are just.
He leans into the microphone for
if I,
this.
if I didn't have
biceps.
vasectomy yesterday, I'd have such an erection right now.
If you didn't have vasectomy,
Yeah.
you'd have such a boner
Congratulations,
right
by the way,
now.
on the vasectomy. And I'm so sorry that the pain medication didn't work for you.
No, the anesthetic that they used.
Speaking
didn't
of
quite-
erections, the guy's name.
Don't touch me.
Gerald Butts.
Hashtag me too.
That is a very unfortunate name to be a public
It's a
figure.
common Canadian name.
Gerald Butts.
I think anal
You-
butts.
you
is
didn't-
Gerald
worse.
or Butts is neither one of those are common.
What do you have against Brent Butt, the creator of
Senor
Corner Gas?
Rear End.
his last name. He has his last name against him.
Yeah.
And to be honest, so do I.
But except he's a comedic writer. That
Double
works.
negative.
yeah. it's okay.
Actually, I remember, like, in a past life, I worked at a call center, and somebody basically, and it was one of those environments where the customer calls in and they have to give you their first and last name. His last name happened to be Gay, spelled Gay, and he didn't want to say it. He was just like, was stumbling over, just be like, and then finally, it's just like, it's gay, okay, it's gay, and then like, there's just, you made it awkward.
What's his first name? Ima?
Yeah, we don't care. What,
Question: what if his last name is Fag? Are we supposed to call him Mr. Gay in this politically correct environment?
I'm going to say no. You call him Mr. So actually, that reminds me of this time that I actually made an outbound call from a call center environment, and the guy's name, his last name, it was an Asian fellow. His last name was Wang, and his first name was Yang. And I accidentally
Mr. Ding
said,
Dong.
can I speak to Yank Wang? He hung up. He hung up on me, and I went, "Yeah, I deserve that." I remember-
Accidentally.
no, seriously.
Oh, man.
You could call me 6 inch from the east.
I remember years ago I was working in like an outbound call center. It's like I think I was like 20 or in the US selling Discover cards or some shit.
Yeah.
And this is like,
Still
comes
have
up on the
Discover cards.
apparently. Well, back then they did. I
Do
mean,
they
this is
now?
like
You're missing mad points, man.
Oh,
so anyway,
Still
I
need
called
gold McDonald's cards, man.
So beep beep in my headset and like, hi, may I speak to Mr. And I'm looking at the screen for the life of me. I thought it said Beer Belly. Hi, can I speak to Mr. Beer Belly?
That'd be great if he was
And the
from
guy started
Arkansas.
laughing. There's no Beer Bellies here, and hung up. I'm like,
And what was
yeah.
his actual name?
I don't know, because he hung up and it
Pronounced
disappeared.
Burr belly.
Burr Belly. Yeah.
it's Babele, sir.
It's European.
Yep. I actually remember working in a call center, speaking to explicitly Americans. It was this thing that we did. I was working at this terrible job. It was awful. And my favorite thing was getting the answering machines from Americans. America, all you American listeners, I love your answering machines. You're amazing. My favorite one was the guy who basically said, the person you're looking for is lying naked in a tub of Jell-O. Leave a message or call back later. And then he went, much later. And I went, nope, that's it.
So speaking
what
of
was that
naked in a tub of Jello, SNC-Lavalin.
SNC-Lavalin. Right, the actual topic we're talking about
Question: Much ado about nothing.
tonight. I'm going to say probably, or let's put it this way. As far
All
as gaffes that this Liberal government has done go, this one's pretty minor.
Well, I think that the problem is that we look at this and it's like, oh, this person is resigning, and I think there should be an inquiry of some kind. But I think the Liberal government's right, because if you make it full on public inquiry, it's going to become just nothing but a partisan shit show.
And that's
Did
the
you
one thing
expect
that I
something else?
have noticed. I haven't, like, I'm on Twitter and stuff, so I see bits of it. It's often a lot of conservative voices just banging their pots,
Anything
going,
they
"Oh,
can find."
They're terrible and they're corrupt.
But
I'm
I
like,
did
really?
see NDP. I did see official NDP literature about this.
Oh
too.
yeah, I'm not saying that no one.
Is it not just the opposition banging their paddles?
Yeah,
Basically,
That's pretty much,
Isn't
and
that
that's
their
exactly
job?
what
And
the
I'm
liberals
happy
are trying
I'm
to
happy
avoid.
to say that.
Regardless of who's in power, you're always going to have an opposition going, well, what if, or what because of, or
Isn't
if
that
you did.
kind of their job? Like
100%.
Yeah, that's,
Right, but they're trying to make this to the next ad scam, which, by the way, ad scam had nothing to do on, I don't know, like
Hashtag fake news.
gazebo gate.
Yeah.
But that we don't talk about that.
Paul Martin going, the Liberal Party is not corrupt. The Liberal Party is not corrupt. The Liberal Party is not corrupt. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this is we kind of talk it because it's a major news item in Canada, because we're supposedly a Canadian podcast. Can't talk about Trump the whole time.
Sure, we
And-
can. He does enough. He makes enough news.
Can we judge some of it based on the fallout because of it, though? Who's left and shifted the party because of what's happened.
I think I think you're right in a sense that the way we perceive news up here versus down there,
Yep.
but at the same time, we can't let little shit slip because downstairs is a dumpster fire. I mean,
No, but
True.
I think as Canadians, we judge things based on not just what we hear, but the fallout because of.
There's also this Canadian apathy that exists. We're like, and the government is being accused of corruption. Okay, we call it Tuesday up here. Like, I mean, and
Sure.
usually the accusation is trumped up because it's the opposition's job to make a mountain out of a
But if
molehill.
by Friday we've had 2 or 3 people that have left in major positions, then
See,
you can
that to me
formulate
is
your
troubling.
position.
And then that leads then to my question: does this affect Trudeau's re-election coming up this year?
100%.
And
he'll lose. He would have lost seats no matter what.
Well, yes.
if it wasn't this, it would
But
have been.
forget
something.
about losing. Are you going to continue in power?
Yeah.
yeah, but hang on.
stay in
Like, are you going to continue in power?
I don't
Like,
think anyone in
is
this
your-
room has actually voted for Trudeau. Let's be honest.
I certainly didn't.
No.
Yeah, but I mean, and like when I think about Trudeau and I think about like his success last time, part of it was that he stole the NDP's lunch, and part of it was that he destroyed the Bloc Québécois. All of that was there. But I mean, if I consider what he's looking at for this next election, I don't see him losing the government completely, mostly because Andrew Scheer just isn't public
Well,
enough.
there's not enough to go against
Yeah,
him.
and Jasmine Singh, and then there's
Thanks.
things.
That's another topic entirely. Anyway, we are getting to our first break here. When we come back, we'll be talking about executive power in the U.S.
This is
And
very good scotch.
it's very good scotch.
Fill
We'll
it.
be right back.
You're listening to Two and Change, and if you're enjoying,
Okay, listen up. I'm in charge and I want to change the podcast. We're a gardening podcast now. I want everyone here to make a garden and report back to me immediately so we can do this.
Tim, nobody here gardens, and like Matt said, it's winter. Nor do we want to. We want to keep the show the way it is.
No, I'm in charge. I'm declaring an emergency so I can do what I want.
That's not how this works, Tim.
I'm going to shut down this podcast because I want. This is the problem with you liberals and all you Democrats and, Nancy Pelosi and all the failures in Congress.
so
You know what? This is
check
how
us out
winning
at
looks like, and I'm sorry you
twoandchange.ca
don't know
where
what
you can
winning
like the
looks
show,
like.
leave
You
a
know
comment,
what?
and read the
I'm
blog.
doing good things
Oh
for
yeah,
the economy.
Facebook and Twitter.
I'm good with North Korea.
I'm
And
so
you know
sorry
what?
about this.
Yeah.
Fake orgasms.
And welcome back to Two and Change.
Most random fact I've ever
Hey
heard.
everyone, you know what time it is?
It's weekly. What the?
This is the time of the show where we gather the weirdest news we can find as a service to you, our listeners.
That's right.
Anyway, Mike.
We love you that much. This week, we're starting off with who else but Florida Man. According to the New York Post, Florida Man used a phony tax return to receive a $980,000 refund from the U.S. federal government.
Nice.
How did this master hacker, the financial wizard, who reported an income of $17,098 in 2017, this Warren Buffett of the swampland, simply claimed he paid $1 million in taxes? The government actually sent him a check.
Guru.
The IRS eventually figured out their error and seized the silver Lexus RC 350 and remaining cash, but he's still on the hook for an additional $809, the cost to insure the car.
That's kind of genius. Think about it.
I'm not even mad.
I'm not even mad.
Winner.
Honestly,
This
that's
guy
all
wins.
he's on the hook for is $809.
I don't care how you shave that. That's a winner.
I'm
And
a
he
little
got to
bit mad.
drive the car for a bit.
I'm a little mad because he didn't relocate that money to the Cayman Islands like now. Like, I mean, why would you not do that and then
Well,
flee?
we call him a thief, but otherwise he'd be a businessman. If he
That's
wasn't
exactly
Florida
it.
man.
Actually,
Somebody's a hero.
right now, I mean, what do you got him on? It's a paperwork error.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, another what the news. Ars Technica reported on a smart toilet
A
that
what?
smart toilet that monitors your heart when you sit down to do your business.
I already want one.
Engineers at the Rochester Institute of Technology developed the toilet thinking, everyone poops, so...
They haven't met my wife.
Well, the toilet measures heart rate, blood pressure, and blood oxygenation, amongst other health indicators. Now, the only drawback, it doesn't actually work while you're using the toilet.
What?
I mean, such activities apparently mess up the measurements.
Well, how do they measure how do they measure blood oxygenation? Like
Without an
It's
IV.
a very invasive toilet,
No
Josh.
kidding. Where does the needle go in? That's what I'm wondering.
I got 2.
like how do they put the pressure? Or blood pressure? Where's the pressure going? Like,
Libertarian asks, how much does this toilet cost?
Let me give
I
you a
wanna know.
conservative approach.
I want to know if it measures pounds per square inch.
Also, does it make you...
also, if you watch a bad political post, how does it measure how much your binkster cinches up when you don't like something?
And does it make you gay? That's an important question for the conservatives.
And another
of
one
gay.
from the New York Post. Florida man, no relation to the first Florida man, they're on a roll here, was caught on surveillance camera licking a random person's doorbell.
What?
The weirdest
salty.
part is this isn't the first time someone's caught a random doorbell licker on camera. Back in December, someone caught an errant licker outside their home in California. We can only hope this is part of a new trend.
In an age where the Tide Pod Challenge, the Fire Challenge, the Bird Box Challenge, this one's actually kind of tame.
It's actually
The
how I
door
ring
licker
doorbells.
challenge.
Yeah, licking doorbells.
Fact.
Yeah. Has anyone
Did you
here
say
ever...
the door licker?
Has anyone here ever licked a doorbell?
Maybe.
No. Why would I lick a doorbell?
I wouldn't know because we disabled ours because when we bought our house, there was no way to fix our doorbell. When you push the front doorbell, it actually plays the first line of
Okay,
the U.S.
listen.
national anthem.
Listen,
What?
nobody wants to put their hands on things, so what am I supposed to do?
Right? Yeah.
All right, so that's all the time we have for this week's What the Fuck. If you come across any weird, wacky, or stupid headlines, please send them to us via Facebook or Twitter, or shoot us an email at info@twoandchange.ca. Mike, you have to introduce the next topic.
All right, so topic 2, we're talking about executive power. So Donald Trump has declared a national emergency and as such has the right, using his executive power, to direct funds wherever he wants, in this case to build his freaking wall. So we're talking tonight about executive power, and as far as executive power goes, how much should we acknowledge it? This is a great example. I'm sorry, I'm burping.
Do you need a second?
I need a sip of water. So the reason why I brought this up as a second topic is because I'd like to compare it to our Canadian executive power, which is technically the Queen and the Governor General, who, by the way...
Imagine the Queen declaring a national emergency
Which
to build
is-
a
and
wall.
building a wall.
shit.
Now, hang on. Now, we've had this discussion on the monarchy before about how, we have people who are in favor of it, people who are not in favor of it. However, it occurs to me
Have we just break
that
it down,
the
dumbass?
Queen
Someone that
or
is
the
in
Governor
control that's
General...
not here.
However, it occurs to me that the Queen or the Governor General really, realistically, could not declare a national emergency to build a wall without there being a constitutional crisis that would very quickly evict the monarchy from Canada. So
We have a weak executive in this country.
we have a weak executive in this
design.
country by design, and if we compare that
Not
to
by
the
hair
American
gel.
executive, which is supposed to be a weak executive, but in practice really isn't, here we are. So I'll throw the question at Josh first. Do you
Josh.
oppose the monarchy in a world where
What
our
the fuck?
monarch
Why are you starting with
On our
Josh,
monarch.
the monarchy?
on our monarch,
Queen himself.
do you still favor deposing the monarchy in a case where our monarch could not do what the president has just done?
See, this is where you...
What the fuck kind of question?
I'm
is that,
comparing
Mike?
executive power in Canada to executive power in the United States, and I'm calling out
With the
Josh
Queen's
on
monarchy.
his socialist bullshit from a previous episode where he said that he hated the monarchy.
What's the logical fallacy where you take a
It's called a straw man,
argument and an
Josh.
absurdment? Straw man argument.
Straw man.
It's
I'm-
called a
yeah,
straw man.
I'm listening.
I'm not gonna fall for that because this is a straw man argument one-on-one. But,
Okay.
So
Not wrong.
But the reality is I'm 100% still against the monarchy. There is lots of places that have presidents.
I'm the pro monarchy.
There's a lots of places that
agree
have
with Josh.
presidents that don't want to take their dick out and just go boom and just like, I have the biggest dick. It's the biggest dick. I look at it in my hands. It's super big, and I get to do what I want.
things that Josh has never heard
You
at
don't
home.
you don't see you don't see Holandi going around being like,
harder
we have an
it falls-
executive power. We're gonna make a whole wall and like keep out the Spaniards.
No, but you did see Saddam Hussein doing that. You did see, Ammar Gaddafi using that. You did see Ahmadinejad using that. Like,
Are you saying Canada is like equivalent to
no? But what I am
Gaddafi
saying,
because this argument's fall apart?
What I am saying is that technically, the Queen, the Governor General, could do exactly what the president did, but
No, she can't.
because if she did.
She's weakened.
Oh, so what you're saying is we should. So the rights of a queen and king is really good. So like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is a great example, right?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that our queen is a good example.
Argument in absurdum is never good. So
My-
let's
my-
move on to the
Okay,
executive.
so
My
I'm going
suggestion-
to cowboy this conversation.
Are you really?
Cowboy.
Want to be a cowboy,
right.
baby?
All right, so here's where I feel the conversation is. In the U.S.,
listening.
they've got this theory that the executive is powerful.
Yeah.
And the executive has been powerful
It has.
since, say, I don't know,
FDR.
probably
FDR.
well before then. No, the executive has had power probably since. I would say FDR's probably been I would say FDR's probably been the first real
or if you like, the New
strong,
Deal.
expansive since the New Deal.
The New Deal.
And
The
I'm
New
not
Deal
saying
was an
that's
example of the
necessarily-
executive power being what the hell?
I know you're anti-New Deal, but the
I
New
am.
Deal turned out to actually be a decent thing for the people.
Sure.
However, this being said, the concept of I can declare an emergency
Yeah.
has really grown up since the 1960s and 1970s in the U.S., where you can declare a national emergency.
For
You
anything.
don't need a declaration of Congress. And really, not even the national emergency, but also the Congress saying, we'll support whatever the president says,
I think-
has really been sort of in the 70s.
I think declaring a national emergency really now has gotten to crying wolf.
Sure.
Really, if we're gonna dumb it down, it's crying wolf. If you have the power, you do it.
But
And-
migrant caravans, they're an invasion force.
and calling it is only because you feel
yeah.
that there's something against you that you can't control.
Yeah.
Agreed. And I think that the idea of saying I alone have executive power
Yeah.
is really just a power grab from an executive branch, because really the U.S. was designed with three co-equal branches.
Legislative, judicial, executive.
Where in Canada it's supposed to be two, legislative and judicious. We don't have an executive branch.
We do.
we have the sovereign.
Yeah. Who
Where
is the
sovereign.
executive branch? And I
But
would argue
she's
that
not a
every
co-equal
government
branch of government.
But
though,
I
in
would
this
argue
country.
that every government needs an executive branch of some kind.
We do. It's essentially
Which is-
the ministers is essentially the executive.
No,
branch.
no, no,
the-
no, no,
the executive- the
no.
executive-
The sovereign is the executive branch of our government.
But it's an incredibly weak power. I mean, but if you
it's
were to
only
take
incredibly weak because it doesn't have
But
to be
if
strong.
you were going to take the same analogy in the U.S.,
Sure.
it's almost like the legislature in the U.S. takes the same power that the Queen has in our country.
Hmm.
They're incredibly weak compared to what the executive is there,
Fair enough.
versus what the executive is in this country versus legislature.
But if you were to compare, like, so our model of government is very much based across the rest of the Commonwealth, and you do find examples in the Commonwealth of the Governor General, thereby the Queen, doing things that directly interfere with government in a way to get things moving again. Like Australia had this. Jordan told me all about this one. The one where the Governor General fired the Prime Minister, made the leader of the opposition the Prime Minister, in order to call an election to get the Canadian,
Which is one of the few functions an executive really should have.
Exactly. And if you look at Canada's example,
To
this
keep the
hasn't happened since
democracy
King.
functioning.
This hasn't happened since King was our Prime Minister. But technically, the Governor General still holds executive power.
Pop up.
What?
Pop up.
I think Matt has something to say on this subject. I'm certain of it.
I'm listening.
Into the microphone, Matt.
I don't think that anybody that's not in the country
Yeah.
should have anything to do with the say of our country.
So the Governor
you're
General
anti-monarch.
is in the
That's
country, and the Queen Elizabeth is not the Queen of England only. She is also separately the Queen of Canada.
No,
she
Matt's
is Canada's sovereign.
But Matt's sentiment is
awesome.
shared amongst other people. For
Cool-
example,
cool and
Josh shares
awesome.
the sentiment.
That's the principle
All
of
of our ancestors bought into that.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
I feel like technically, when Queen Elizabeth passes away, there's not really any. She's the first crown of Canada. The first one ever. Because
Awesome.
in 1982, she became the crown of
and I
Canada.
can
There
respect
is
that.
nothing stopping someone who is of Canadian residency to take the crown of Canada when Queen Elizabeth dies.
He kinda
in
likes-
practice, it's probably going to be Prince Charles. God help us all. But it is
he's
possible.
perfectly inoffensive.
Mike and his family in Argentina really like a lot of the executive power.
But in honest reality, why should somebody that's not here dictate what happens here?
So if you had the
Or
chance,
had the final stamp on it.
Tell
Even
you
in
what,
principle.
if you had the chance, would you allow, I don't know, hell, William Shatner to be King of Canada after Queen Elizabeth dies?
To be fair,
he's a Canadian.
probably more.
Probably more qualified.
We
To be fair, he's had more
declare
jobs.
this country
I think he steered our ship in
to
the right
be
direction.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
we
that's
know
right.
he's at least a naval captain.
And he's got a 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds,
Right,
and
and
to
green
seek
women.
out new life
What,
and
have
new
you-
civilizations.
I
Have
don't,
you
I don't
been-
think the Queen has a 5-year plan.
Well, I don't know if she has a plan at all. Really? I mean, she.
Five years from now, she's 6 feet deep.
You think so? I don't know. Her mother lived a ridiculously long
That bitch
time.
is gonna live forever.
Yeah, she is the longest reigning
Her
monarch
Majesty
in
the
English
Queen
history.
of Canada shall not be referred to as that bitch on this podcast.
That
I
bitch is
agree.
gonna live forever.
God save the Queen, I tell you. No, so the reason why I support the monarchy is
My-
again
my
because
British-
I
my
like the
British
idea of
relatives
a
are
weak
rolling in
executive
their,
power that costs us very
Their
little
coffins?
comparatively speaking. That's my reason for and if I look at what the president, the executive office of the American government is doing right now, I'm like, yes, I am super okay with having a queen.
I just don't understand why somebody that isn't here, that has nothing to do with the day-to-day, the month-to-month operations of our country, is dictating it. Has the final stamp on what does or does not happen.
But
Since
the
when
governor
did Matt
general
start sounding
effectively
like
is
Gandhi?
that person. The governor general is effectively that person. Like Queen Elizabeth, yes, ultimately, technically, holds the final say.
Cool. So then you just answered the question right there. The Governor General, thank you, end of story. We're done.
Except that the governor general is, by definition, a representative of Her Majesty the Queen.
So why do we have to?
So why do we default to
Yeah.
the Queen?
Which is why I'm okay with the governor general
I'm so sorry,
becoming
Mike.
the
Normally I'd
actual
be helping
monarch.
you out here, but I'm standing up because my balls really hurt right now.
Yeah, your vasectomy didn't really. I mean, the freezing didn't work.
You know what it is? He's
Not
just
not part of it.
he's
No.
pussy in the bag.
He's
The
extremely.
So when they put the clamp on the vas deferens at the end,
And you feel every piece of it.
You can't see me with my hands up saying, being there, done that.
The doctor put it on and he was like, "Oh, I didn't expect that." I'm like, "What? What the fuck are you talking about?"
Tim,
You know what?
you and I are the only ones who have had a vasectomy.
No,
in this
he's
room.
had a vasectomy.
Oh, you have. Congratulations.
So actually, he's out of the club.
Josh
out
is
of
the
club.
only one who is
Josh,
not.
need a vasectomy.
You know what the difference is?
Let's do it right now. I've got a kitchen knife.
yeah, and a battle axe.
I didn't.
I saw the
expect
doctor
that.
do it.
Yeah, I've got a bat lift in the basement. We'll take care of this right now.
But the doctor's saying, "Oh, I didn't see that coming." I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, he's like,
But that was something we didn't hear that you did.
Hey, you and
not
Mike,
a word
you and
we
Mike might
wanted-
have something in common.
the fact that we're both infertile.
that you might have to have 2 vasectomies.
Hell
Oh,
no.
no. I'm smart.
I do not wish
I've
that
learned the
on the
lesson.
devil himself. I do
I've-
not wish
no,
a double
I've
vasectomy.
learned the lesson.
Yeah.
I'm getting tested not once, not twice, but three
times. Yeah, well done.
And it's being paid for by the government of Ontario.
I
There
gotta
you
Thank
go.
very much.
Are you,
now.
are you actually going to do the follow through on
Oh,
it?
he is.
Because I never did.
Because I
Oh,
didn't.
shit.
I didn't. I recanalized. I have.
So you're a champion.
I am. You know what? As it
You're a
turns out.
champion.
As it turns
His
out.
vas
yes.
deferens was too
I
strong
am
for a normal
so
doctor.
proud of you.
And as it turns out, when I provided the sample, not only did they confirm the right side was successful, the left side was not, but
They went
also,
gagonk when you presented
also
it.
that my sperm count was considered triple what is normally considered normal for the average man. Also, the sample, when it's provided, normally if it touches air, it's dead within 12 hours. Mine were still kicking 36 hours later. I may have been the most fertile man on earth.
See, my problem.
God help us all.
I turned in my samples in Central Africa.
I pass my genes on to my 2
don't
sons
know if
and my
that's
4
racist or not.
daughters.
I'm not really sure
and
I'm
we
following.
will one day conquer the world Genghis Khan style. And we will spread libertarianism across the globe. Just saying.
I don't think you're.
So, limits on executive power.
Speaking of executive power, I will be king of the world.
All right. So,
364
My son has already claimed that title, so there might be a power struggle.
Fine, I'll be Hegemon.
Okay.
He is
I'll be
eight,
Hegemon.
so-
I'll be Hegemon, and he'll be the
all
figurehead
right.
king.
We have 2 minutes here.
2 minutes?
I will be putting the books by then, so I don't care.
All right. 2
What
minutes.
books?
Here's the question
I'm
for 2
listening.
minutes. All right.
Yes.
History.
Is there a place for a unitary executive in 2019?
Yes.
Why?
Because
Somalia.
the other forms of government will at some point have an irreconcilable crisis. They will at some point have something that they cannot fix on their own. I cite as an example, not America, but Australia, where the Governor General did what was appropriate and actually did fire the Prime Minister in order to create a new Prime Minister who would call an election, get things moving again.
Where does Brexit
Josh,
fit into this?
unitary executive 2019. Yes or no?
No.
All right. Why?
Just no.
It's a
All right,
fail-safe.
Matt, unitary executive 2019.
Where does Brexit fit into all this?
Well, if Queen Elizabeth truly was a unitary executive, there'd be no Brexit.
I believe so. I believe that. Yeah.
So
She doesn't have power to stop.
Does
the
Britain have a
Brits.
Governor General as well, or is it
No,
just
they don't need one. They
That's
have a
just
queen.
that's just the Queen who literally lives
So
there.
the
Okay.
question:
The Queen's representative is the Queen.
There you go.
good or bad?
I'm going to say that the Queen, if she could override Brexit, she should and she would.
All
But
right.
in practice, she couldn't.
So that's all the time we have on today's show. So I want to thank Matt for stopping by.
Welcome.
I also want to thank
Grazie.
our writer, Matt Ebel, for that lovely mid-tro and his contributions for the
We
show.
love everything. Please come on the show as a guest sometime. You would be hilarious.
He has been a guest for a bonus content once.
Remind me.
Girls in my Boy Scouts, that one he did.
Oh, that
yeah,
one,
he's got a
I
couple.
love mint chips.
Anyway, if you're enjoying the show, make sure you continue to check us out at 2andchange.ca, where you can read our blog or check out our podcast. Make sure you listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, Podbeans, wherever you get your podcasts. Anyway, for 2 and Change, I'm Tim.
I'm Josh.
I'm Mike.
I'm Matt.
We'll see you next time.
I still hate you for not drinking scotch, by the way.
Speaking of Girl Scouts, did you guys see that they're
Wow. Great segue.
yeah, the
Speaking of my balls aching.
so anyways, there was a
Balls of
girl
Girl
in
Scouts,
in
what?
Florida who put this
Florida
picture
Scouts?
of the Aquaman on the back, like in Momoa.
Oh,
And she was
Jason
selling-
Momoa
she was selling, like-
Samoa's.
Yeah, she was doing Momoas. Yeah,
Samoa's.
selling. That is. Right? Yeah.
The box was waterproof.
Now that the music has stopped, I actually do need to share with you a headline that a listener shared with us
What?
as well. Yes, John has actually done this.
John.
Yeah, John. Well, he's actually happens to be my brother as well. He actually.
Oh, Brother John.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he also basically talked about the fact that there's this guy who's in Texas. He shared a weekly WTF story that he wanted us to feature on the show about a guy in Texas who was spinning a pistol around his finger as a joke, as a show for his 16-year-old girlfriend.
It's on the next show.
Oh, it's on the next show. Failing that. What are y'all laughing at? What are you laughing at? All right, welcome to the second half of the show. This is the part of the show where we talk about our second topic of the evening. We are talking tonight about what's wrong with you people. What are you laughing at?
I'm still stuck on
That's on the next show. That's on the next show. I'm reading the wrong one. Read the wrong one. You know what?
Reading the wrong one. He didn't
okay,
read the other one.
All right, so this
Did I do that?
so this one's about executive power.
No, we don't have the license for this.
I just got that out of my head, damn it.
Too late. Too
Give me the
late.
license for this.
All right, everyone.
Good luck
everyone.
editing this one, Tim.
Oh, fuck. Anyway.
You're awesome.
I am an amazing human being. Okay.
I'm snapping a lot. Obey the snaps.
I am
Snap
obeying
this.
Put the hand down a little
All
bit.
right, hold on.
All right. The word-
Mike, you have to introduce the next topic.
All right. So topic 2, we're talking about